guys, it's another Rebellion Tantra Hour. And CJ's here. He's getting himself some water. But you know what? I'm here, and we are going to have a great time because today we are going to do the inhibition flush, which is so cool and fun and weird. Okay? All right. Basically, it's just a series of exercises that you do to overcome your inhibitions. It's pretty simple, actually. I'm about to go live on Facebook, and that should be pretty cool. And then we'll be able to discuss more of that. But I'm going to talk about it anyway. So, yeah, I'm going to get out the inhibition flush here. It's so cool. I have a bunch of initiations from different places. Indonesia, Nepal. I was very lucky to find a guru who would take me for donations, you know, and he was kind of a hard ass, but he knows his shit. And one of the things he gave me was this wonderful inhibition flush, which is basically just a series of exercises in being ever so slightly naughty, you know, a little bit naughtier every time. And yeah, some of these are going to be things that you're probably going to put off for a long time or not do. But some of them you should do. The first several are really good, and they do help, you know, to get over that. In fact, I was spending a little, hi guys, hey, I'm so glad you're here, oh boy, okay, and hopefully we have a surprise for you today. We'll see what happens. But we're going to talk about the inhibition flush, and we're going to talk about the Satanic Witch. He knows a lot about the Satanic Witch, even more than I do, actually. I only book of LaVey's I ever read was The Satanic Witch.
Originally published as The Complete Witch, spelled C-O-M-P-L-E-A-T,
yeah.
Witch. My good friend, God, I can't talk.
It's almost the completest.
My good friend, Leonard Graves Phillips from the Dickies, as I said, met Anton LaVey on several occasions, actually, hung out with his daughter, Carla, dated her here, and so on and so forth, and was quite an active Satanist for a while. Like myself, he is a Satanist per se, in the sense of continually doing things, and I tend to kind of gravitate between dark and light, but in an effort to be fair here on the Tantra Hour, we wanted to give you guys a little feedback from that, and it really is just a classic example of some really great, what he himself would term low magic, but I just like to consider to be, just physical magic, relativistically easy magic.
It's just intelligence, really, mostly.
Pretty much, yeah. A lot of what people call magic, or again, cult simply means hidden, and it's just a way of different thinking. But most of what we wanted to call your attention to is this little thing LaVey invented that he called the personality synthesizer.
Yeah. Which
is just a way of determining. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you guys ever played Magic the Gathering, card geek. I really, early on I play a lot of black, so my friend played white, and we do it, no one really wanted to play too much black then early on, so I do that. But what I always liked were green and white decks. Green especially, I just love it. My best decks are the big green stompy decks. And Magic the Gathering is a good example of technically what you're kind of looking for in terms of what earthy material you might want to be drawn from, or what you might want to focus your area on, which for white magic is plains, green magic is forests, red magic is mountains, blue magic is oceans, and black magic is swamps. You know what I mean? Hey, Sean, good to have you on. So, that kind of ties in there too, guys. But yeah, the green, the white, the black, the red, whatever you're going to go into it. In terms of your tantra, try and use that as your energy and be honest with yourself and where you're going. And with the personality synthesizer is kind of indicating where you are. So if you have a clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, those four things are the personalities themselves in terms of the archetype. Yeah. And then between them are the gradients. So, example, at 12 o'clock is a very masculine frame, very kind of hourglass, broad shoulders. I'll give you guys all the delineations.
Yeah.
The other side.
Broad shoulders, big-chested is the top. And then for 6 o'clock would be like J-Lo. It would be a perfect 6 o'clock. Because her ideal body, it's on the first page.
The most important thing, so I'm going to pop it up there so you guys can see it. Feel free to screen share, whatever. You can always, this is public domain information at this point anyway. I'm sure you can get it on there. Yeah. But so basically at the top you have fire, which is your most male core with wide shoulders, long torso, narrow hips, short legs, hard, firm flesh. A pioneer, domineering, aggressive, impulsive, always on stage, selfish, authoritarian. To the right at 3 o'clock, you can have your air, which is your intellectual type. A very narrow, stick-built, very sinewy, no waist, translucent skin almost. A social critic, very technical, abstract, least social of the types. Very
scientist type guy.
Very dour. An air splitter. Very clinical, a thinker, not a doer.
Very slim, a slim scientist kind of a guy.
So water's the most feminine core. This is
and like I said, think J-Lo, small chest and big butt.
Right.
You know?
Narrow shoulders, short torso, long legs, wide hips, kind of marshmallowy flesh, very fluidic movements, tends to carry things out, consistent, dedicated, receptive, dependable, generous, and steady. And then at the far left, you're going to have your earth
types,
which is your emotional, which is kind of like the thick sausage build and you know, very resilient, kind of rubbery flesh, very sociable. Very, you know, big sense of humor, very agreeable, very concrete, a doer, not so much of a thinker, and fireworks, what do you know? Woo! Practical and resourceful, okay? So, and what you need to remember is that none of these are superior. Traditionally, they go, oh, you know, I want to be fire, I want to be air. As Ladies will point out, society, you know, nothing exists. You know, you take any piece of a tire out, and it's just a fucked up donut or a pie.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, for instance, the earth type, nobody really thinks they want to be the earth type, and I never do either, really. But like, if an in shape 9 o'clock on that scale is a perfect hourglass figure with a tiny waist.
And
so, you know,
I love fucking Hufflepuffs, because this is what you know, I know she was consciously cribbing off it. I don't think so. I think, you know, the tendency to
I think it's just an archetypal thing.
Right, but I guess what you would do is that would be Hufflepuff, obviously.
Yeah, Earth is Hufflepuff.
I guess
water
air would be
is Slytherin.
Water would be Slytherin?
Yeah, I know that it seems like it would be, but water is Slytherin.
I guess so. I guess air would be Ravenclaw, obviously, and then fire would be
the Gryffindor. But basically, it's the more fiery, masculine, and actually, like the typical Playboy model from like the 80s would be about at 10 o'clock.
Right.
So she's a little more on the, and maybe one from more now might be more of 7 or 8 o'clock.
Here's what's pertinent about the personality synthesizer, though, okay?
Yeah.
Is that whatever personality you are, you have a corresponding diametric personality. If you're a 12 o'clock person, you have a 6 o'clock inner personality. And that's what you are looking for sexually. You know what I mean? It's your opposite personality. If you have a 9 o'clock personality, you will be most attracted to a 3 o'clock personality. You know what I mean? If you're a 6 o'clock, you're going to look for a 12er, and so on and so forth.
Like, I'm about probably at 10 o'clock, although I'm not a Playboy or anything like that. I'm just the large-chested. I'm maybe more attracted to a 3 or 4 o'clock guy.
If you're a 10, you might
find yourself
attracted between kind of 3s and 6s, and that's fine. You know what I mean? You might get along perfectly with an absolute 3 o'clocker or a 6 o'clocker, but you might be a little more inclined to 4 or 5 or whatever it is. But the whole idea is to honestly kind of assess
this
yourself.
This is your animus or your anima. If you're a dude, you're opposite. If you're a very masculine dude, you're going to be attracted to a very feminine woman, obviously. But if you're in between, you're going to like somebody who's a little more in between. You're looking for your own reflection, basically.
Yeah.
And we're all one being, in a sense, so it's totally everybody's a twin flame at some point. What really makes you a twin flame is sort of that your energies are kind of matched, but opposite in some ways.
And of course, a lot of times,
like an entanglement is like that. If a quantum particle has an entanglement, each particle will move when the other one does, no matter where they are in the universe. But in the opposite direction usually.
And if you should have like a part of your personality or that thing that you really just don't like, I just do not want to be a 9 no matter what. Figure out which side you want to move to and do so correspondingly. Because you actually can over time. I mean, you're obviously not going to change certain things. If you're a certain height or certain build or whatever, beyond certain parameters you can't change, but you can definitely move along the scales. But the point is, do it honestly and ask yourself if it's really like a societal impetus that was put on you.
Yeah.
You know? Because here's the thing, I charge people, just because it is a societal impetus doesn't necessarily make it invalid as long as you can take it honestly and say, look, man, I know that people will say like, oh, that's just some idea someone else put on your head.
Yeah.
But it's an idea I grew up with for 20 or 30 years and was reinforced by everybody around me. So, I'm not chucking out the baby with the bathwater. I'm taking what I like from that.
Basically, you can move 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe if you, sometimes I'm closer to a 7, sometimes I'm closer to a 10:30 or 11 even. But like, you can move a few hours depending on how heavy you are, how much you work out in different areas of your body, but you can't move from one side of the clock to the other.
Right.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Sometimes you can have a pretty steady personality, obviously, and have your partner be much more vacillating because of conditions in their life where they're not really sure where they want to be. on the spectrum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, I felt like I was impelled towards here, but I had to be this, you know, for safety reasons. But now that I'm letting my guard down, maybe I can allow myself to be something a little more like this. Or conversely, I was a totally little girly girl all my life, and I'd like to maybe have a little more sense of, you know, being able to stand up for myself or whatever. But as I say, ultimately, it's about being happy with yourself, knowing who you are, and finding your better pair tantrically.
But literally, you're not going to go from being an earth type to being an air type. You're not going to go from the top to the bottom, okay? You might get a little softer. You might get a little, you know, little less sex. If people who tend to be more asexual think of them or more airy, okay? So you might go that way, but you're still going to be what you are underneath for the most. You only get a few. And it doesn't matter because you are who you are, and the point is to love you. That's the point, is to love you.
And then to understand within this is just the purely physical aspect.
Yeah,
okay?
And this is something you dress up. It's sort of like if you're put into a body, and this has been shown actually, people who get like plastic surgery, for instance, people who get large chests, a lot of times these women start out very skinny, but then after they get the chest, they actually start putting on weight in the way a woman who naturally would have this chest do. And it's just because they see themselves differently deep down. It's literally how you see yourself that depicts a lot of your personality. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And it's if you can get beyond what people see you as and how, you know, just being yourself, regardless, that's the biggest thing you could do. We'll talk about the inhibition flush, though, because a lot of LeVay's stuff is very simple stuff. You know what I mean? Like about the law of the forbidden. You know what I mean? Like it's better to show off just a little tiny bit of a stocking, you know, of the top of a stocking than it is to just be naked for some people, because it's the forbiddenness of it. And actually, that's why we promote nudity, because the very things that work in Satanic Witch work because we have a messed up mind and a messed up society. The fact is, clothes are basically like a mask we wear to tell people how we want people to see us, and to cover up things that we are ashamed of. But that's the lie of the perfect body, because even people who have perfect bodies don't have perfect bodies, because for the most part, people don't like people who are perfect. You know? People want you to have a flaw. Go ahead.
And there's another thing he points out here, which is that basically what he says there's kind of like three things, which is the sense of, you know, you have an upright pentagram, okay? And within that, you have an upside-down pentagram. And then within that, you have another upright pentagram. So if you are, for example, a 12 o'clock woman, that first upright pentagram, so to speak, is your 12 o'clock self, okay? Within that, in that upside down, what you call the demonic or the minority self, that 6 o'clock self that you're attracted to. But then within that, at your core is another 12 o'clock self. Do you know what I mean? So you also have to know that you're kind of not just yin-yang, you're literally kind of a three. There's like the you, there's the core you, there's the outside reflection of that, but then inside of you is also that 6 o'clock personality, you know what I mean, that you're attracted to, that you might display traits or aspects of at times.
By the way, this inhibition flush is one of my free attunements. If you guys want me to send you a copy of it, I will share it with you through Dropbox. It's just there's an attunement, but mostly it's exercises to help you to be comfortable with your body and your sexuality. Some of them are quite naughty. They start out light, but they get a little naughtier as we go along.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second, and then we'll talk about more of the things that are crossover with Satanic Witch, because there are some things like, okay, I'll go over this real quick. They actually in White Tigress, in the White Tigress system, they have a sort of an early bra they would wear. They would wrap like silk, scarves around their boobies, so that when they opened it, they could just show these very full, perky boobies, and nobody would, and it was, But the point is, like, they were always having these sort of clandestine affairs in secret, and they were supposed to cultivate the secretness of it, and it's like a very like a romantic love affair, like Casanova and shit, and the whole point is
the quickie, the nooner,
the secretiveness and the naughtiness feed into the energy, and this is all in the Satanic Witch.
Sweetest.
It feeds into the psychic energy that you're taking in that makes you younger.
So I guess how do they get it? They go to your email or just?
Oh yeah, just PM me and I'll send you a link from my Dropbox so that you can download it. PM me on this page. All right, let me give you let me tell you. Okay, This is from my old guru, who's
crap on the iPod.
Yeah, I don't know how it got on there. Who's a bit cranky, but kind of awesome in so many ways. So
the best shamans are all over cranky, man, because
yeah, they're all over cranky. It's true. Well, most of them are anyway, though. This is a process of getting seen and also getting used to it. As being seen is one of the ways in which you provide healing and empowering energy to others. And we actually have attunement so that if you see us naked, you get blessing.
And this is a quote she's actually reading.
I'm reading this from it, yeah. In the photos of the comments below will suggest the process of getting started. Okay, great. Great way to begin is at night, either at home or at a motel somewhere. So you might want to rent a motel somewhere. The higher your room, the easier it is to do it, but eventually get to where you do it on the ground floor with the lights out. When that gets comfortable, you can move on to the daylight activities. First with the lights out, then in such a way as that you can clearly be seen. Basically,
you're standing in the window.
He wants you to stand in the window naked. He wants you to start, like, get yourself a hotel if you have one with any stories on it. Open the thing with the lights out and just stand there naked, knowing you can't be seen, but you're naked.
Yeah. Now, just so
that's the first step.
In a lot of these, these are written at a time in places where nudity laws don't matter that much. But please, for God's sake, know your local laws.
Be careful with your laws.
Because in a lot of places, nudity is considered a sexual offense, which means you will be considered a sexual offender. Okay? And that's a shitty thing to be. It's one thing to be labeled because you had your dick out or you fucked your kid, whatever. You just popped your titties out or you let your fucking balls hair out for a second, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And it will stick with you for life.
Well, here's the thing. Our teacher was a big believer in it. As if you pray to Mahakali, she'll protect you from everything, including the law.
Yeah.
So,
and I believe that.
Just be careful.
But what I would recommend now is a not so much better or worse, but in my opinion, it's safer and actually better for you.
Yeah.
Because at the time that he wrote this, what it was being written for, honest people who didn't have the kind of interplay technologically, people who truly were absolutely introverted.
Yeah.
Okay. It was less that they talked to people all day long, but never really communicated or felt themselves as they were just literal fucking shut-ins. Okay. So what I think is better is to find a nudist resort or a place where people are just, you know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the best first step is a nudist resort.
Just be walking around like just your shorts off, or your shirt off if you have body issues, and then this, because most times it really isn't so much sexual as it's just freeing, and it's nice because it's for people who don't have, I hate to say it, man, but clothes are kind of a bully thing in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's really hard for most bully types to be bullies when they're butt naked around other people that are butt naked. It just kind of precludes, you know what I mean? It just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the outfit is the outfit, and you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I agree. The first step, if you can, go to a nudist resort or a nudist party or something like that.
Yeah.
Then try something like this. But also a good step is to just to post pictures of yourself online where you know you can be seen. FetLife is good for that.
Yeah, FetLife's great.
On here.
I've got her name. I'm Centurion9 on FetLife.
Yeah.
If you want to look at my profile.
I'm always Rebel Jacobs. I'm not ashamed of who I am.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where you can do this, and that's awesome. And if you can, and do it legally, and of course, professional simulation, great. We're just saying, like, this is kind of a basic thing.
He just wants you to be careful because it's not like we're, like, you know.
This is the kind of thing where you probably could do it in Vegas, not too much trouble. It's like, I did this Vegas, I was drunk, I was in my, you know what I mean? Like,
I've seen people do this before. Actually, on City Walk during the 90s, there was a on New Year's Eve. One of the tall buildings, there were naked girls dancing in the tall building. I mean, they were just like, it was really hot. It was hot, but like, it was basically the first step would be, and then put yourself on FetLife. Here, Team Horror, I think it is, like Team Horror. Like, you know, basically, you can put pictures on that as long as you paste over your nipples and stuff. And they love sexy pictures in that group. First, start with sexy pictures. Start with things like that, like I do. I do that. It gives me energy. That's totally why I'm doing it. I'm just super honest. I'm not very good at being teasy, like the ways that I'm not good at that stuff, like the white tigress stuff that they talk about and the Satanic Witch stuff. I'm kind of a goody-goody that way. But, like, you know, but I don't mind nudity, and I don't mind being seen, you know. It's just, I just don't like strangers, you know.
It's just push your boundaries, guys. Real reluctant.
But I'll go into it more. Here we go. So exhibitionism during the daytime gets risky. Basically, he's like, he would suggest that you pray and you get spiritual before you do this stuff, and to be trusting that you're going to be okay. Make sure you're in a safe place. If you're in Vegas, a few places at night, you can get away with this, okay? You could get away with flashing people a little bit. But be careful. The world's a weird place right now, especially you men. Like, it's good. Just make sure you're safe, okay?
Even in Vegas, there's cops, there's sheriffs.
Just make sure you're safe. It's like you can get away with it. Doesn't mean you're, anything.
But even the higher, that's right. If you're like the 5th or 6th floor, if you're like the 23rd floor, what are you like? Oh, I saw this guy flashing. What, with your fucking binoculars, Superman?
Yeah, you're still, anyway, this is the beginning. So he would oh my God, he would suggest all kinds of stuff. Like he actually, one time, he had a special mudra that he uses. This is actually a ninja mudra, but it comes from Tibetan stuff too, where you put your hands together like this.
The 8th one.
Yeah, it's the 8th mudra of the ninja mudra, if you know those. I'll show those another day. And you breathe. As you do a breathing exercise, as you breathe darkness across your body.
You're supposed to be able to walk butt naked.
He walked naked through a city, though, doing that. Like, he was breathing and holding his hands like that, and he walked naked through a city.
For all of our fellow Elamites out there might recognize this. Crow talked about a similar thing where, like he said, I can walk around literally with a peacock feather over my head and one hanging out of my ass, butt naked, through a crowd of people, and they will never see me. But that was the joke.
Yeah.
Because a peacock feather is actually a shielding thing, and the ritual of the peacock is another one. I don't think we could share that one. We'll check it out. Maybe we can. I think for donation. We'll figure it out. But that one is actually a specific shielding ritual, and it does work really well.
Yeah, I have that
too. If you have too much personality, if you're constantly being seen, if you're in the limelight, if you're in the public eye, and you want, man, I would just be able to fucking one time walk the fucking Rouse and not be googly. Let us know. We'll try to get the attunement to you because it does work really, really well.
There's that one, and there's a few others that are about invisibility, learning to shield. Although something that works wonderful for shielding is the Rose Cross ritual from the Golden Dawn. If you get good at meditating, you can go back to your Golden Dawn stuff because most of it's just meditations, and you can rock those things so much more. Like, you can really do it. Because I've heard of people who are great, like David Griffin is obviously just a hermeticist, and he's one that I've heard about doing this.
Hey, James.
A lot of people say you do the Rose Cross ritual. I actually have an Enochian version that I really like. And if you do it with concentration, it'll shield you from being seen by anybody you're trying to hide from. So it's actually really, really good for that. People don't know what these things are for. The Rose Cross will make you invisible. At least invisible. It can make you invisible to cops. It can make you invisible to negative spirits, to people online who are hating on you. It can make you invisible to all kinds of stuff. So that's a simple one you can do, but there's attunements that make it much easier, and there's exercises for that too. But I'll go back into these because there are some great exercises for invisibility, but we're supposed to talk about that. Okay, he just wants to make sure you're careful. He doesn't want you to get hurt.
And I'll say a disclaimer because if anything goes
because we don't want to get sued either. So when you get this done to the point, maybe getting a bit bored. Basically, when you're comfortable flashing people through a window, or craving more adventure, graduate to wearing nothing but a raincoat and going out on a rainy night or day. This is a little easier. The harder the rain lets people go out after. You don't even have to don't open your coat. The point is, in this case, you're not trying to flash people. I'm not telling you.
It's your own knowledge.
You're just going around naked under the coat. This is a really good one. Like if you go to like an office building, like ladies used to do this as like a
surprise their lover.
Yeah. Like you wear high heels, nice coat, put some makeup on, walk around totally naked. Then when you're in the elevator, you open up the coat and you're like, oh, nobody sees me, but I'm naked in public. Oh shit. That's a really
Except, of course, the guy manning the camera.
Well, he got a show.
You didn't know there was another bit of working Universal.
But another one that you can do, like when you're on an alley, any place where you're private but in public, that would be where you would open it up and just get yourself comfortable.
There you go.
Yeah. So
that's fun. We had a semi-private backyard one time, and my ex-girlfriend, a little kinky thing, and she was leading me around by at least semi-naked in it, That was kind of digging, but not. But yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. You got to get where you're going to do it.
It's nice. It's nice. We're very experimental. We actually could use hey, if there's any ladies who want to help us out, we can
I'm
use
going to try to go down on her, like semi-off camera later, but if we do that, what we would like to invite any ladies that either haven't gotten enough cunnilingus lately or don't get it right, feel free to like literally try and tune into her. Try and be in her.
Totally. That's what we were talking about. So it is going to get dirtier. You guys are all, it's boring, except you four have been. You guys have told you. It'll get dirtier later. No. Okay. Exhibitionism during the daytime gets riskier, so I encourage you to scout out your target area fully dressed before moving on to this activity. Yeah, just be careful where you're going. Careful. You're not trying to really flash people at this point. But, like, here's another one. For ladies, bend over in a very short skirt with no panties on.
Oh, listen.
They get naughtier.
I've had so many women do that inadvertently, and it's just now again, you got to be careful because a lot of guys will charge or try and grab, but they do it just right. You know what I mean? I'll never forget one time at a friend's house, it's just fucking just, yeah, it is mesmerizing. No other word, mesmerizing.
Yeah, it'll stop a guy in his tracks. Deer
in the fucking headlights every time. Just.
And we have some nice pictures when the things come up. Show it eventually? No, it's not really showing it. I'm sorry. Just some nice nudie pictures. You know. All right, and it's just and it's easier to move around public venues. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Go ahead. Or for those who see you, yeah, because he's not young and old.
Beauty. How many people are forced to say, "Oh, I've never."
Just not young, you know.
Guys were inveigled into saying, "Yeah, I like that, or I don't like that, or I want that, or I don't want that." You know what I mean? Because they want to seem righteous, or they don't want to seem weak in front of the other guys.
Yeah.
I think the same is true on both sides. I think as a whole, women tend to be a little less infatuated. Way they tend to be more attracted to qualities about a man, how a man makes them feel, rather than appearance.
Of course.
And women still like a nice.
Honestly, no, men are the same. Women often are like, why did my husband leave me for this unattractive woman? She's no more attractive than I am. Well, the reason is because she made him feel good about himself.
People could
usually
understand why.
because they listen.
Sorry,
they make him. Come on. He's such a good boy. Like,
people could never understand why John Lennon would shack up with Yoko Ono. It's because she made him feel normal. She made him feel relaxed. She made him feel like a regular person. She grounded him.
Yeah, it's like if you make a guy feel good about himself, give him what he wants. Like, he needed comfort, he needed security, and that's what she gave him. But like, if you make someone feel good about themselves,
you might have to hold it a little closer to him. She said, "Hey,
yeah." Okay, so here's this. He says, my teacher, he says, I had an apprentice in Antlers, Oklahoma, who weighed just under 400 pounds, and she did this process. When she began her daytime walks, then she never came home again without doing at least one sacred sexual process with either a woman or a man, usually in a public place. She worked as a light bearer this way for many years. Now you see how he thinks, okay? But yes, like, he's like, basically she would go out naked under her coat, and she would get laid every time she went out and try to make it a spiritual thing to heal the land or something. But she was getting laid every time she went out the house, okay? And she was almost 400 pounds. So he's like, you don't have to be hot. You just have to be sexual, and potent, and there, available.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yep. What I find interesting in this process is that women are generally considered to have more to lose in this than men. And yet women often just simply go for it, while men take half of forever to get started. So funny. Sacred prostitution couples often quite amusing to watch. I don't know if I can show this to you. I'll try.
There you go.
There you go. You see?
She's digging it. He's all covered up in shame. It's honestly hard for most guys to get used to your shit swinging because all your life it's been tucked up there. So
exactly. It's
which
weird.
Also, ironically enough, is a really good exercise if you can run in sand naked. Guys, it's really good for your entire body, especially your shit. You don't jiggle them too much. But yeah, try to stay on the tips of your toes and not bounce off your heels, but just that kind of running that your ancestors did, and it's really fucking good for you, man. Really good for your lower abdomen. Oh yeah, there you go. I don't even remember that. That's pretty hilarious.
Listen, my teacher's gotten away with the craziest shit. I'm about to tell you what he did. I'll show you the picture. First, I'll show you this is him. This is him on a public bus.
In Thailand.
Okay? Tell your friends to tune in right now. You were missing the show of a lifetime. He did this on a public bus in Thailand because he's that crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean...
Would I like to have sex on a bus in Thailand? Oh, you bet your sweet bippy I would.
But that's not a level we're going to, because that's crazy, okay? He's crazy like that. But listen,
but the point is,
he
places,
prays and meditates and does all kinds of shit. That's why he can get away with all kinds of craziness. Like, he is protected in all this weirdness. I'm sorry.
Different places have different rules and regulations.
Yeah.
Different countries have different attitudes toward sex. And many of the Asian countries in particular are completely diametrically opposite to the Western countries in terms of their regards to sex and genitalia. You know what I mean? And if you've never been to a Shinto parade and seen fucking 30 dudes carrying a 20-foot-long fucking donger, you know what I mean? Just, damn, that's impressive, because that thing must be heavy as shit. And then the big fruit, you know what I mean? And it's a beautiful celebration. It's natural and organic, and everyone's happy, and no one's fucking feeling all guilt-ridden. Listen, I don't have Catholic guilt happily. I almost have no religious guilt. You know what I mean? I just have that kind of generalized societal guilt most people have from growing up Western in the early time. But my dad suffered because he was born in 1917, and she had the Catholic shit. And
Catholics are crazy.
So I completely understand how many people are like, dude, I can't even say the word. Happily, it's gone much more over the years. A lot of other fucking.
I would literally just listen. His whole thing is trying to get
you to go to Asia and see them marching around and giant vaginas and giant penises and you know what I mean.
His advice is when people tell you their problems, offer to relieve it through sex.
Yeah.
And he means it because he's trying to be. He's trying to use energy to heal people genuinely.
Which is why we have the tantra thing, because I've always believed that 9/10 of the world's problems and suffering are a direct result of sexual frustration and/or unrequited lust. Love too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just straight up unrequited lust, like, oh man, I want you so much.
I mean, though, to be honest, life changes so much when you get lust out of the way. Like, this is a lot of the art I give you too. Honestly, what we're suffering from is a little bit of a sickness. Okay, people will be like, oh, but sex wouldn't be as exciting if it wasn't dirty. That's not a good thing. That if sex wouldn't be as exciting if it was dirty, that's because we have a mental problem. You know what I mean? You think the dog's like, oh, I want it to be really perverted. I need a chihuahua. Yeah, that'll be dirty. He doesn't care. It's a vagina. That's what he cares about.
There's like
you know?
Big old brake that you got to slap on before you can stomp on the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is, you know, you should just be able to kind of put it in drive and let it go, man. You mean you don't have to slow it down to speed it up, and you shouldn't have to speed it up to slow it down either way. But yeah, that's what the societal fucking shit does to you. It just puts that like, oh man, it's got to be extra nasty and dirty and filthy and gross. Or, you know what I mean?
Because everything that was normal and that people, not everything was normal, but a lot of things that are totally normal were made to be so bad that like everyone felt like they were dirty and bad. Everyone was like, I'm a sinner, because they had sex before marriage, or because they masturbated when they were teenagers. They had anal sex with their husband who they loved forever, but now they're like, I might be going to hell because I had anal. People thought like that, okay? That's the horrible truth.
If you've ever heard of a book called Kraft Ebing, Psychopathia Sexualis?
Yeah.
This was a medical book, folks. A medical book. A recognized, accepted, amongst the elite of the intellectual community in the medical field textbook.
Yeah.
And it was all about the various perversions and inadequacies and horrible mental conditions of things like onanism, lesbianism, and sadomasochism. And it's fucking hilarious now. It's literally funny, except the people that suffered under it and ate shit and fucking had to deal with it.
I mean, it was a big deal. That's what the thing is. Like, we have a lot of shame about our bodies, and a lot of it is because especially teenage girls. This is a thing with teenage girls, probably boys too, but teenage girls. Like, you were taught that there's this perfect body, and everyone has it but you.
Yeah.
That's
true.
But your titties are different. Everybody's titties are okay, but yours are different.
Is fine, but yours fucking stinks. I remember that.
Exactly.
I remember that. That was one of those fuck things I could think of. I'm standing there for my 9th grade picture.
Yeah.
I started high school back in fucking Maryland. I come out here, I got me junior high. Okay, that's cool. Right? We're all standing there. I'm in a row. And this one guy, like 3 things over, yells to this poor girl, "Hey, Audrey, something stinks. Close your legs."
Oh, that's rude as fuck. They used to be able to say
guys laughed their ass off, girls tittered and shit. When he just goes, "Now stop that." But didn't go like, "What the fuck, man? Get out." Okay, you know what I mean? It was just.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you could make fun of someone's body parts.
Horrified. And more likely, she had no
Nothing normal or
but
different.
just the idea of being able to call it out, just the idea of being able to say something like that, you know what I mean? And
because when I was in middle school, boys could say disgusting shit,
devastated.
and I don't think they even understood the pain they were causing. Now that I'm older, I don't think they understood what they were doing. I think they were just horny little boys who were just trying to, get attention.
Before you get too outraged, remember this was the culture they were raised in and brought up in, and this was them being way nicer than their dads were.
Yeah, but at the time, it's like they make fun of your period, they make fun of like, the smell of your pussy.
Scream at women on
like
the street.
And publicly, people will just discuss women's vagina smells in middle school, and it was just no teacher would say, nobody would do anything. You could just they would just discuss how women's bodies were horrible and disgusting, all the while wanting to fuck you publicly at 12 or 13 years old in front of people, and no one would do anything or say anything.
Yeah, it was kind of a bad
That
time.
was the culture,
So,
in case it's changed.
So,
I hope it has home.
Past all that shit in some areas.
You know?
But and I always say, for every area or place or space where you might have some great progress, you might actually have some backpedaling in others. You know what I mean? It's surprising to go to this little county or this little tucked away hamlet somewhere in this state or that state, and it literally feels like you just crossed the time machine 50 fucking years back in terms of mores, mentalities, and attitudes. And especially the teaching and the schoolwork. So I don't want to mash potato butt too much. I really don't, man.
Everybody's butt looks like. That's just the thing. It's all self-love. Like the more people hated on me when I was younger, and the more I hated on myself, the uglier I got. And that's the truth. And I got tore up because I just was hated on so bad. And it's only because I had CJ for so long, supporting me and telling me I was pretty, even when I didn't think I was pretty, that I'm able to, I've been able to pull myself together to such a degree.
People's opinions of you.
It affects you, just like that rice.
Do the mashed potato. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Just like that rice experiment where if you love the rice, it won't rot, and if you hate it, it will. That's what happens to you. If people are hating on you all the time, you're going to absorb it, and it doesn't matter how positive, because I'm super positive. It doesn't matter how positive you are, it will get to you, because eventually a very positive person will be like, well, if the whole world tells me I'm a piece of shit, I must be. I must be a piece of shit, so I should punish myself for being a piece of shit,
Yeah. And you're saying, it goes around. If you love yourself long enough, despite what people do to you, or you're able to, you'll start to get healthier and feel better.
You'll see, it's a miracle.
And their negativity.
I read this and I did not believe it, but now I look back and I realize I had negative spirits in a sense. And I hate to put it that way because it's not like a possession thing. We all have these parts of our DNA, like our ancestors, these things that we feel that hold us back, and it's only when you're gone you really can feel it. And I look back and I'm like, there was so much hanging on me, holding me down, holding me back in my life that I couldn't overcome.
Oh, we're on. Let's get back to the old thing. So
anyway,
so
we're
going to talk about the little thing.
Sorry. Let's get back to the sexy shit. You guys, everybody's missing out. I'm going to invite more people because they're missing out. And this is sad. Because
we're getting bored of listeners talking about our fucking problems. So
I know. Well, they weren't only talking about that. I'm saying we're going to start popping out titties and shit pretty soon. Maybe we'll keep it Facebook, Facebook legal,
Thank you.
So
anyway, but as far as the personality synthesizer goes and things, what it doesn't point out at that point, but later on is it doesn't include the fact that there's all kinds of other things that people find sexy in terms of what I really get off on besides just the person's looks,
Yeah.
And that is your personal kink or fetish or what have you that you really like. And in terms of that, sometimes it's better to be with someone who really shares your interests along those lines, that has a slightly different body or personality type than someone who might be the perfect diametric but just has no interest.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, and I've seen people do this well, technically that person is man, but what you're forgetting is that you're forgetting the balance factor, and what you really want is something completely different than just that, and they have absolutely no interest in what that leaves them totally cold. And again, this is why it's good to go things. If you're into fetish, go to fetish parties or fetish sites, whatever your particular little inclination, or whether it's something just as simple as whipped cream, or I like a nice hot bath, or I just like it shaved. Everyone's got something that just adds a little extra nuance, that one little thing they kind of continuously, they just kind of cycle back to over and over, just because that's the most pleasurable kind of nuance for them. or set of nuances. And Leigh was very smart about this and looking for things like people who like fetishes, things like a lot of people are very into pheromones, and especially at a time when so many people were so perfectly deodorized, so perfectly cleansed, it was really hard. He encouraged people to go around and basically be stinky, and allow their natural body odors to
Yeah,
come
actually.
because there actually are chemicals.
Yeah.
And most times, if especially if you're heterosexual,
Or
if you smell some of the opposite sex's body odor while it's somewhat, disingenuously not appealing, there's other chemicals in there that are.
our little pheromones. It's clean flavored.
But there's chemicals in there and in sweat and vaginal fluids and other things that are designed to be attractants, and if you can make use of them appropriately.
It lifts your spirits actually too. So it's, even if it's just us, this particular one actually, it's good for mood enhancement and stuff, not too, which is really nice.
So yeah, take advantage of all those things. Take advantage of clothing. People like denim. People like leather.
Oh yeah, people
like
have little fetishes.
People like lingerie. People like boots. People like sneakers. Some guys like long pants. Some guys really dig skirts. Some people really dig booty shorts. Some ladies love a nice tight button pair of shorts. Other women like jeans. Other women are like, oh man, a suit or a guy in a uniform. Many people are very aroused by people in uniform.
Well, listen, we're going to talk more about archetypes and stuff, and how to figure who you are out and stuff like that for seduction. There's The Art of Seduction talks about that, and I have another book that's a little more about becoming a seductive person, and it's more female oriented though, that I'll talk about.
I'm thinking something on camera.
Okay, I can do it. Hold on. All right.
I gotta make sure, so just come back.
Okay, we're safe.
Okay, that's good.
But I can tell you the four of the ones that I got here. The sex kitten is an obvious one. It's like the sweet. You're sweet, you're innocent, but you're sexy. It's a Maryland type kind of. All right, everybody's missing out. The whole world is missing out. And this is how you get over your inhibitions. When you can do crazy shit like this, nobody can see anything. It's Facebook legal. So the sex kitten is one of them, and that correlates in the art of seduction. It's actually the natural and the siren. That's kind of a combination of those. The natural is sort of someone who's a childlike person, usually someone who speaks their mind, someone who's managed to hold on to that innocence in a sense, the way of seeing the world. And it's very contagious, someone like that, someone who lives spontaneously. And that's kind of what I am a little bit close to. And then the siren would be more of just a sex goddess, but combining those, that's sex kitten. And then you have the competitor. And the competitor is exactly what it sounds like. This is a woman who's a strong woman, a woman who competes with men, who can do the things a man can do. Anything a man can do, she can do, because she's the competitor. And some people really like that. There are really sexy women out there who are independent. They go, they get what they want, they take what they want. And that's a good thing. You can be more than one, but you're going to have one that's dominant. And then the ideal lover. The ideal lover is someone who puts their lover first. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's the person who puts their lover first. They always think about the other person. They're always thinking about, hey, this is how you get over inhibitions. You just do shit. You do crazy, crazy shit. It's legal, but we're taking it up a notch. We're taking it up a notch here. I don't have any inhibitions about body things like that. And like I said, we're a couple, so it's cool. We're very open-minded. He already shares me with a higher dimensional being. I figure I should bring a chick in and share one with him. He would genuinely love to smell another vagina. So I feel like you should give him that. He's been very patient. But competitor as a woman I'm a competitor in the occult area because I tend to compete with the guys and talk like the guys do there. And but in every other area, I tend to be soft, and that's okay. That's good. I like that I'm soft mostly, but I'm hard in a couple of little areas. The ideal lover, like I said, puts them first. They're trying to create. They're listening to their problems. They're always supporting them, and there's always that person that you love so much. You're like, you just make it about them. I can do. Sometimes I'm like that, but it depends on the guy. You know, they have to be pretty charismatic. Those are those special guys. You know. He's actually more of a charmer to me. I'm kind of, well, the other one is a charismatic. Because a charismatic is someone who has something they believe in, something they're fighting for, something they're doing with their lives. They have fervency and an intense look in their eyes and stuff. And that's tend to be the role I play here, but I am also really good at the others. Oh, that was awesome. It's yeah, he might have to go wash his face after a while. But just to show you guys, listen, you can do it. It's cool. Listen, it's not about good or people always get caught up in good or bad, and it's not about good or bad. It's about love, and it's about freedom. We don't hurt anybody. We're like totally nice people. We believe in independence and interdependence and love and freedom and just good things, you know what I mean? And there are some things that are inhibitions because they're supposed to be. But most things that we do, especially in the occult, when you do, okay, here's a good one. A priest got caught having sex with two dominatrixes on the altar of his church, and he was arrested. And I was like, he's one of the good ones, you know? He wasn't molesting children, first of all. But that's the kind of thing you do to get over, like, false morality. Because that's all for false morality. Everyone there is a consenting adult. He probably was doing it for some spiritual purpose, like some secret Gnostic thing he was doing that he wasn't supposed to be. And, you know, it's, like I said, it's only our hang-ups. Those are hang-ups, okay? But then when you get to things like hurting people who can't consent, you know, that's all different. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things you do, and you're like, oh my God, I had sex in a confessional booth, which is one I've heard. That's really hot because it's naughty. But who are you hurting? Hurting nobody. You're breaking boundaries that are silly boundaries. They're boundaries we make in our heads, you know? You make God not about sex. God's about sex. God made sex, you know? Yep, he really just did that. I didn't even think he would ever fucking do. He came up with that. I didn't even think of that. He came up with that, and I was like, you've heard it before. He worries about shit, but as long as we're Facebook legal, he's okay. Hold on a second. Yeah, he's crazy. Spread the word. There's all kinds of craziness. That was my, that's a bathing suit, actually. Shorts. He's very expert. Like I said, I'm good as far as what I believe is true morality, but as far as there's a lot of things are just imposed on us because they're convenient for higher forces to control our population and how we manage our lives, okay? And that's not moral or not moral. What's moral is if someone falls in love with you because you had sex with them, don't break their heart, you know? Don't just use people for sex. That's moral, you know? But what you do with the people, that's not a morality issue as long as it's consenting and no one gets hurt. You know what? I'm so sorry. I didn't make you upset. We all have issues. That's the whole problem, huh? No, she said, Melissa said she was a little upset she has issues. I don't think she was laughing, though. I don't think she meant it, like, too hard. I think she meant it softly.
I'm sorry.
And it bothered her a little. Everybody was surprised. I was like, he came up with that. That's so... I can't, but wow, this is, listen.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, we don't mean to, it's okay. But yeah, it's like, you know, this is why we work in people in the left-hand path always talk about, like, breaking taboos. But the whole point of breaking the taboos is to figure out which ones are actually really there for an actual reason and which ones are just stupid. You know? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
you don't molest children. Oh, that's a taboo we should break. No, it's not. Don't do that.
So.
You know?
I mean, this is one reason I really was attracted to the biker lifestyle early on, is I felt it was the only thing that was truly honest towards women, in the sense that most of these guys consider themselves to be outcast and misunderstood. Yeah. A lot of them had really large sexual appetites. That was one thing I did find in common with my biker brethren that I appreciated is, you know, they were like, no, we like to fuck all day, all night, man. That's good, you know. And they were always encouraging. I remember back in the day, you know, show your tits was just like horribly societal thing that biker girls, you know, were encouraged to and allowed to. And it wasn't just like, you know, young, cute ones. I mean, you know, you would literally have people like the miraculous mother, you know, who was this older lady, you know, and it just, and, you know, the old biker thing I love is, hey, man, we don't discriminate. As long as she's between 18 and 80 and got a, you know, a pulse and a 98.6 temperature, it's all good. You know what I mean? And they were really serious about that. They loved all women, all sorts, all safe, encouraged them to, you know, be happy and be loving and be together. And I mean, I grew up on these parties where, you know, people who just basically were all consensual.
They're misogynistic, but not in a, but it's in a kind of a S&M kind of way where everybody's kind of into it.
I was really hanging out with actual patch holding clubs and everything. I wasn't hanging out with one percenters themselves. I was hanging out with people who kind of knew some people who knew some people who might be hanging out with them.
That's how it goes.
Peripheral, but a pretty good periphery, so to speak. Yeah. But it was just my own little crew, my own bunch of guys, and, you know, one of my buddies had a little fucking pad, and, you know, we would just, you know, a bunch of us would just invite a bunch of chicks over, and, you know, we're spreading the A's. It's cool if I bring my chick over and a couple of the chicks, and, you know.
But I was just thinking about.
The point I would say is that I really got actually used to doing this, not just there, but we would go on runs and stuff and find big fields open. So, yeah, I just kind of grew up, you know, or came up, I should say, and I grew up just expressing it like, hey, hon, you know, because, again, for so many women I knew, cuddling was this nasty thing, and they were sick for wanting it, and they were horrible, and, you know, and especially they smelled it all, and I'm like, no, I just want to, you know, do it on you here in the field with the poppies and the lilies and shit, and, you know what I mean, we just rode my bike, we're going to have some wine, smoke a joint, you know what I mean, it's just organic, you know what I'm saying? And so I just want to kind of continue that and let women know it's okay. It's totally okay. You have every right to it. You don't have to feel the least bit ashamed, but there's still that.
You need somebody in your life telling you that you're free and that you're good enough all the time. Because listen, only the fact that he tells me I'm good enough all the time is literally pulled me together. Like, I mean, like it's just, you know, where they say when you have a higher calling, you have a harder road. It's like that. But it's like if he pulled me together just by being supportive. Like, you know, it's like just loving yourself is the key, and it's so hard when you have people against you.
It was a place where people came looking for that, you know, the love ends and the be ends.
Yeah,
the cordial thing.
Hey, and we gotta love each other. You know. Oh, we'll talk a little bit really quick. I'll talk a little bit more about Satanic Witch. Yeah, they do in the White Tigress. They actually suggest they want you to find 9 young men. 9 virile young men, and they want you to. They're cool with you. Flashing people on the sly is a good way to get energy. You know, any kind of way that you're going to show your body and be a little bit sexy is a way to get energy in the White Tigress. But that's also the same with the Satanic Witch. The Satanic Witch talks about some of the same stuff in a little bit more of a modern way, but it's not. The whole thing was the Satanic Witch stops at a certain level because it's not. Well, they only knew some things, you know, and he only went to a certain level, you know, power couple, He only went to a certain level with that. He wasn't trying to become immortal and shit. He was just trying to make you able to manipulate people. And it's not really about manipulating people for me. It's when you get this kind of energy, this psychic energy, it keeps you younger. You can store it in your sacral chakra, your lower den-10, and it helps you to stay young. It makes you feel good about yourself. Looking young actually makes you feel young and makes you stay young. So it all works together. And like we'll do several anti-aging things because there's so many. But energy, psychic energy being given to you, sexual energy in particular, is very youthening. One of the reasons that celebrities stay young. Not the only reason, but they get help, but they do terrible things to themselves too. They smoke and they do awful shit to themselves. They don't take care of themselves to the degree that I do, or like Christy Brinkley does. She's like a really good woke chick who does a lot of yoga and stuff. She's a really nice lady, and she's like 65 and looks so good. I mean, so good. But like I said, in the Satanic Witch, the whole point is to be just a little bit sexy. You know, you've used scents. Like, he'll actually tell you to use your tampon and put it between your breasts, cover it with perfume. No, you know, I don't do that. I use pheromones. But, like, there's nothing wrong with that if you're going to do that. So it's just that I don't care. Like I said, we go to love scent, love-scent.com. Little $10 oils. They're amazing. They make you feel social. They make people feel social toward you. And they're cheap and they're really nice to use. And those kind of things, like I said, anything that ups the excitement is going to up the psychic energy. And the more psychic energy you have in the situation, the better it is for you. Especially if you're doing any meditation, like drawing in the energy through yourself into your sacral is one way to do it. The other way would be, especially for oral, you're drawing it in, imagine it filling your head with a green smoke until hopefully you'll start seeing. If you see strong lights in your head, that's what you're supposed to do. You only have to do that 9 times, and then you've done it. You've achieved a very low level of immortality, probably the lowest level of immortality you could achieve, which is agelessness and an immortal light body. But that's like, okay, we're not talking. There are different ways to have an immortal light body. Some people. There are monks who will sit around and meditate until their whole body, until they basically die and their body shrinks until they're like almost like a couple of feet tall, and they're dead. Their whole body dissolves into nothingness. But that's like super high level. That's like not what we're aiming for. We're just aiming to transfer our consciousness into a fairly stable body, and from there you can actually get stronger in the spirit world.
In the spirit of Halloween, real quick, I want to toss this one out there, guys. That love potion stuff, the thing he talks about is the fact that a love potion, and this is true, again, of anything that they consume, anything that you put on yourself, it's only going to get you so far. Basically, all you're doing is providing sexual stimulation, okay?
Yeah,
and if you do manage to have sex with them, whether they're going to stay with you or not, depends on the person. And never forget that. There is a thing with some guaranteed cure-all, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You have to be a person that they want to stay with. Now, if you just want to get laid for a night, that's great, too. But the point of it all is that it only goes so far. You've got to put in the work. But if you are aware of that and self-aware, then you realize that basically a good love potion 9 times out of 10 is just a stiff drink. Like the old doggerel has it, candy's dandy, but liquor's quicker. So in that spirit of Halloween, we're going to give you guys a cool little recipe right out of the Satanic Witch, the Elixir Satanique.
Oh, nice.
Take 1/5 of vodka, pour into a jug, and incorporate the following. 1 2-ounce jar of instant coffee prepared with 1 quart of water that has been brought to a boil, 1 vanilla bean, 1/2 ounce mandrake root, 1 small tin of sesame seeds, and 1 ounce of granulated sugar.
Wow.
Let these ingredients macerate for 1 month, stirring daily, but otherwise kept stoppered. Strain and serve.
Wow, I didn't think you could eat mandrake like that.
Yeah, if you do it carefully.
I did not think you could.
Also,
Love Talk's talking to us. I don't know what it's saying.
I hope that's not a mute button or something like that. Maybe
No, I
you
don't
violated
think so.
Okay, and real quick, one little fast one, little goblin juice. As he says, if you were having a party and wanted easy to make punch that will be consumed copiously by those who don't even drink and have a decidedly sneaky effect, I've used this to great advantage for many years. Goblin juice. Mix together 1/5 of rum, 1/5 of vodka, 1 large can of pineapple grapefruit drink prepared under many brand names, 1 small can of concentrated frozen orange juice diluted as per instructions on container, and 4 ounces of grenadine. You will produce a drink every bit as potent as the most exotic Polynesian concoction, served with ice and lots of salted goodies. Happy Halloween, guys.
But that first one sounds like it's really magical.
Please don't get anyone drunk that doesn't want to be drinking.
Oh, well, we already put this there.
It's one thing to have a friend, have it over, if you knew one, whatever, but yeah, please don't do that. But
I'll talk more about the art, the seduction stuff next week, but we'll still do naughty things and, tell people to tune in. I never know what he might do. He might just go down on me on the air again. Oh.
I was feeling froggy. What can I say?
Well, we'll try to be on tomorrow. I'm trying to do more of our own stuff during the week too.
We're really bored, man. I just want to keep you guys entertained.
Yeah.
And give you a smile for the week.
And it gives me something to do with my life.
I don't like either. So anyway, thank you. Tune in again, guys.
Yay.
We'll try to make it even better next week.
I'm so glad you were here, Melissa. I really love talking to
You're
you.
a diehard. You're a sweetheart. Thank you for sticking with us, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, tune in next week. Maybe we'll have something even more amazing for you. We're going to try and do the room up a little bit, some more Halloween motif, and do some other little Halloween type related tantra stuff and sexual things. Until then, stay happy, stay hard, stay wet, stay healthy, and stay alive.
They were blown away. They were blown away. You